Hello and good morning. I don't know about you. So if you went to Pixel Photo Fest, are you still having like an information overload hangover? I know I am. And if you haven't had a chance to check out the Pixel Photo Fest, you can check that on our website. It was our conference that we had this past weekend. And I can tell you that I am just so energized from all of the different speakers. And thank you so much to everybody that came out for that. Over 200 people were there. We're watching the live streams, and we had some amazing speakers. And the fun doesn't stop, guys. The fun does not stop. We are back with our Wednesday live stream, where it's our goal just to learn something, in the middle of the week. And today we're going to learn a little bit about headshots. But before we get to that, I wanted to just go over a few some housekeeping notes about the store. We are open to the public. We get this question a lot when people call in. Yes, we are open in the store. If you do have any questions, we're available by phone. But Monday through Friday, we're open 10 to 7, and on Saturday, 10 to 5. So a couple things that we are doing as well, just to make sure everybody feels safe, is we're making sure that everything is disinfected multiple times a day. If someone tries a camera, we make sure it's wiped down. We make sure that our team members are symptom-free, wearing masks anytime we're on the floor, keeping the 6-foot distance between everybody. So again, we want you to feel comfortable when you're shopping in our store. So what are our goals for today? And this isn't necessarily Yaneck's goals. These are my goals from Pixel Connection. Number one is I want to pull you away from the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that's going on. We're coming into an election season, and there's a lot going on with COVID. I want to pull you away from that and just remind you that you have this hobby that has an awesome, it's almost like a superpower, in that when you're doing photo, it takes you out of that stressful world and into this whole new place. And then from there, I want to get you motivated to try something new. If you watch that live stream that I did quickly just on Instagram talking about headshots, guys, this is something that you can add to your business. I think this is going into and the end of COVID here and post-COVID, that this is a great time to learn how to create kick-ass headshots, but also add this line to your business, because people are going to be, if they are looking for a job, they're going to need that updated photo. They're going to need, that fresh look. So again, that's my goal, is to get you motivated to try something outside of your comfort zone, because that's where the growth happens, is when you try something new. And also, maybe I'll help you discover a new niche that could become profitable in your future. So as always, if you need absolutely anything from us, you can reach out at social@thepixelconnection, and I will be more than happy to help you out. But today, you didn't come to talk to me. No. You came to talk to our friend Yaneck. This is not Yaneck actually up on the screen. This is the CEO of Tether Tools, but I promise you he is there. He is the Wizard of Oz, if you will, the man behind the curtain. And we'll go ahead and get him unmuted here. And then I want to say hello to a few people that are joining us. Hello, Jen. Thank you so much for your awesome presentation at PhotoFest. And then this Facebook user, I don't know who it is, but I am so excited. So again, thank you everybody for joining us. We have about 20 here already. Yaneck, let's go ahead and get this thing kicked off.
Awesome. Thank you so much, DJ. Guys, I'm super excited. Let me just switch quickly the camera. So here it is. So I'm super excited to be here today. So we're going to be talking about tethering, how, what tools you need to tether, but more important, why to tether, and how to make the workflow more efficient and faster and better for your clients, so that you can provide a better experience. So before I start, let me just go to the previous slide. So if you guys have, obviously, if you have any questions during the webinar, please ask me questions. Don't worry about interrupting. I don't know how this platform works in terms of interruption with the questions, but please ask them. I just hate talking just directly to the camera without any interaction. So please, give me some feedback, even something you don't like, or just have some questions, about what I'm talking about. So please give me some, kind of interaction here. If after webinar you have some questions, or you have, you want to do some follow-ups, or you want a copy of this presentation, you can contact me either through Facebook or Instagram. My email is info, so info @vashiaphotography.com. So if you want to email me directly, please do, and I'm always happy to help. Some of you guys that are already on the webinar, I've been working with you guys. I mean, some of you with answering questions and guiding you how to do it. So you guys know that I'm always available to help. So Let's get started. So for those of you guys that don't know me, my name is Yaneck. Vasho is more of a business brand. It's not my last name, though sometimes people think it is my last name. It's actually a made-up brand. And let me just switch to my presentation. Here it is. And I'm just going to put my picture in picture. So okay, here it is. So hopefully that will be easier. I know it's going to cut off some of the screen, but hopefully it's better that I can talk to the camera as well. So I've been photographing headshots for a little bit over 4 years. And before COVID started, like last year, we photographed headshots of over 6,000 people. So we do low volume in our studio. That's when we put a whole effort into one person. And then we also did a lot of either corporate, like, the whole office or the whole department. And then a lot of conferences where we photograph conferences in one take over 1,000 people. So it's possible to do it with still good quality, and tethering is one of the main kind of connection that makes this available. I am a part of Headshot Crew, so you probably if you're not familiar with it, definitely check them out. It's the best platform or community of people to learn headshot photography. The master, for headshots, Peter Hurley, is basically the founder of this group, and you will see that my headshots are kind of in line with the overall feel of headshots. It took me a good number of years to kind of get to that level, but I'm super happy that earlier this year I became the Headshot Crew associate, and also during imaging last year, I got my master of photography from PPA. So I'm really proud of it, and I'm also really honored to be ambassador for some of the brands that I use every day, and I really love using. So let's move on. So this is how it all started with my headshots. Those are really not headshots, but this is how it all started. So my wife Sasha had this cool idea that when we went to New York to just do some portraits of people on the street, but we didn't want to make those portraits really like just stand here in front of some building or something. So we basically asked, we set up the background, we put some strobes, and we just made portraits of people outside of Central Park. So this is how it started. I think we were there for 3-4 hours, and I think we photographed overall 200 people, and we actually still friends with some of the people we photographed. So it was a really cool connection. So that was the first step. And then we kind of moved to this. And I don't remember how many headshots are in this set, but probably a couple of hundred. But this is from one of the conferences, and you can see that we went. We can photograph a large number of headshots, and you can see that they're all consistent lighting. That's small, but you can see that it's pretty consistent overall. So this is how we can go even to pretty high volume. So today I'm going to go into two kind of workflows and situations. The first one is individual sessions, and then we're going to go to high volume session. Okay, so first one, let's go to individual session, and let's see what would be kind of like the typical workflow if you don't tether. Okay, so that's kind of like what happens normally as we move through our photography workflow. So first one, obviously you receive an inquiry, somebody asks, are you available? I want to hire you, etc. Right? The next one is, okay, you email back with some prices, and and say like, okay, which session you would like to schedule with me, etc. Okay, then we go, extra questions and availability from the client. So the emails may go back and forth. And we finally, maybe eventually, book the client. And I'm going to quickly remove the picture so you can see the whole presentation. Okay, so here it is. So then, you tell the client, here are my available dates. Okay, so this is the next step. I say, okay, the person, let's say, confirm a date, and then the photo session happens. Then, once the photo session happens, we download the memory cards from the camera to the computer. Oops. We do some editing of that photos. And then we're going to do some upload to the online gallery. Then we send email to the client. Okay, here's the gallery with all the photos. You can either download them all or tell us which ones you would like to edit. Then the client has some additional questions. I cannot log in, or I don't know how to download those photos. The clients always have some questions about it. Okay, and then the client finally selects those photos for editing, and then you do some you charge them for edit, so you send them the invoice to pay for the so you can see how many steps they are just to go from initial inquiry to sending the final photos to your client, right? So this is a lot of steps, and then those email conversations, and waiting for the selection of the photos. Then you're sending the invoice, and then waiting for the actual payment. It may take days or weeks, right? I mean, we're all procrastinators to a certain degree, so we know that people just don't always have the photography with us on top of their priority list. So that this may take quite a while. So obviously we don't want that. This is kind of like, come on, how can I make it better? Okay. So now let me get you like the improved workflow that that kind of I use when I photograph while tethering. Okay. So obviously the first one is client books the session online. So when they go to our website, they actually see the different sessions and all our availability, and they select the time and the day that works for them, and then they submit the payments, and the session is confirmed. So there is no this back and forth, what days are available, where's your studio, etc., because it's all on the scheduling system online on our website. Then after they schedule a session with us, we give them a call. We give them a call to kind of ask more, what they're looking for in the session, what professions they are, and what kind of feel and look they're going after, right? So that we want to get to know the client before they come to our studio, so there will no, plus first there are no surprises, and two, they we give them the photos that they really want. Okay, they really need. And the next one is the tether session. So as we photograph in our studio or on location, in terms of conferences, when it's like in a controlled environment, we always tether. And I'll show you, I'll tell you just a few minutes why we always do it. Obviously, if we go, I don't know, outdoor, usually we don't tether because it's just it's just not worth the extra effort. But if we're indoor in our studio or in an office or in a conference, we always tether. Okay. And then, so once we finish the tethering session, during that session, we review the photos on the monitor, and they select which photos they want to either purchase or get retouched. So we do make this selection together. Okay. So this is important because this kind of saves us the time of going back and forth selecting the photos, right? And then we also can influence the decision. Which photos look good, because often our clients are not obviously photographers. They're not used to what really looks good in a photo. So sometimes they may choose the photos that they're kind of in line with the previous cell phone photos, and not something that may be more interesting, and they're not even yet aware what makes a photo interesting, but they know later on that this photo actually has higher impact. And then the next step is basically to retouch the photos, and the last step is to send the photos to the client. So this is a simplified, version of this whole workflow that I showed you before. Look how many few steps they are, and basically there are no, from step to step, we don't rely on the client getting back to us, right? It's basically, we drive the workflow so that the client doesn't feel that he's that he needs to do something, that he needs to do work. He basically, all he does is just, or he or she books the session online, comes being photographed, and the rest is taken care of. Okay, so this is a much happier approach. Okay, let me go back. Are there any comments or questions, DJ, that people have any questions?
None are popping up yet, and you might be getting to this, but why did you choose headshots as far as your business, like compared to wedding photography, or is this just an extension of your business?
That's a great question. Actually, yeah. So we've been photographing for over 12 years, and so we've been doing weddings. And you can see. Actually, let me switch to this camera. Okay, so you can see here on the wall that we do all types of photography, from weddings to family. We do product photography and 360s digital virtual tours of offices. So headshot was just another extension, and I created a separate brand as Vasho Faces because this was more corporate that we were dealing with. So that's why we separate the brand from our main brand, which is Vasho Photography. So, but Vasho Faces is only headshots. So that's why, when you come to vashofaces.com, these are only headshots and like actor headshots and then some branding portraits. But basically, it's all about, business portraits.
And now, did you separate it for the marketing angle that you could focus all that marketing efforts just on headshots?
Exactly, right? So, it did help us, creating a separate site for just the headshots allowed us to rank higher on SEO right away, because those were, our homepage was on headshots, and then all the other pages were about headshots. So, we actually, because we started to headshots when we moved from Chicago to San Diego, like 4 years ago, and I was able to get on the first page of all basically headshot related keywords within 4 to 6 months. And right now, we, a year and a half ago, we moved to Orange County, which is just south of LA. And we, I updated the site, and I quickly rank on the first page for Orange County keywords as well. So that allowed me, just having a dedicated website to just headshots allowed me to be, much better discoverable through SEO.
Excellent. And what software do you use? Mike Giuliano wants to know, what software do you use for your online booking?
So actually, that's a great question. And this is my next slide. And then let me switch to this. 1 second. Here it is. Okay. So this is basically how, if you go to my book session, this is basically how it looks, the booking process. And I use the software or site. It's called Acuity Scheduling. So this, you can either do a pop-up screen where you do the scheduling, or you can do embedded. I use embedded. So basically, you can have the headshot session, which is the price, all the information about it, any additional add-ons. So for example, you can do on vacation, you can do makeup, and then you can do rush delivery, and then you can choose the date and the time, and then you basically schedule the session. Okay, so what's cool about it, and that few sites, they use this kind of they provide this kind of functionality. I've been using Acuity for quite a while. It actually works pretty good for me. Whether it's the best software or service, I am not sure, but it really works well for us. One is, as I mentioned, it's unassisted. So basically, I don't have to have any interaction to get session booked. Actually, to be honest, literally, as I was speaking, and then when the intro was playing, the 5 minute before the show, I got a headshot session booked, right? And so obviously I was not doing anything, but the session was booked. So already, this is kind of a cool that I'm presenting, and I made some money with the first headshot. The headshots booked already, headshot session booked. Now, it syncs with my calendar automatically, with my Gmail calendar. So then the shots, the time spots that are available on my site are only the ones that are really available, by me. So I can block my calendar in my Gmail account, and that automatically removes the time spots from the available time spots, when people want to schedule the sessions. It has extra functionalities like obviously the discounts, like some coupon codes. People can purchase gift certificates. So there's a lot of different functionality that you can get into. And then one more thing, I see that the open percentage of time. You can actually, if you, for example, start and you had the whole day, or the whole week available, right? Which is right now is, overall is much slower for many of us. You can actually specify that you're available only 50% of the time. So automatically out of the box, when somebody comes to our website, we may look busier because only 50% of the time slots are available. So as people book, those that were blocked, they're going to open up as well, later on. But at the beginning, you can already look busier than what you really are, and that's that kind of creates the the scarcity feel that people need to schedule because they see that the time slots are going away. And and then the payments actually is happening when the person schedules the session. So when somebody schedules a session, it's already paid. So this is kind of like one step schedule and payment. So I don't have to send any invoices. I don't have to worry about them paying. Basically, as soon as they schedule, they receive a confirmation, and a day before the session, they receive a confirmation or a reminder that the session is the next day. Practically, I don't have any no-shows. I think in 4 years, I maybe have 2 people that didn't show up. Practically everybody shows up to the session, which is pretty important as well. So that's the online scheduling. Let's go to the next step, which is the call client before session. And so as I mentioned, when they schedule it, I give them a call to kind of see who they are, what profession they're in, what triggered them to get a new headshot. If there's any type of specific headshots that that caught their eye on our website, and what kind of message they want to send through the headshots. Do they want to be more kind of confident and as I call it, get the shit done feel, or they want to be more the approachable side, or more the easy to work with, versus the kind of hardcore, business person. Okay, so that's very important to know before the session, so you can guide them, and in terms of expressions and poses, so that we can get the headshots that they really want and they kind of want to portray to their clients. And I also asked about their family. Actually, it's not related to the headshots, but I do have a conversation about their family, and see whether a family session, a different date will make sense for them. So basically, I plan to see that, we may have, a family session may be a cool idea. And when they come to our studio and they see the family photos on our wall, that kind of, reminds them, it's like, I don't have those kind of photos of my family, and they look so beautiful, and this would be so cool to have of my, my own family. So that, often like when we have headshots of clients, they come back, for family session. Okay. Did I miss anything? No, it looks like not. So let's go to the tether session. Okay. So as I showed you before, tethering basically eliminates the memory card from your camera. I don't put a memory card in the camera when I tether for 2 reasons. If you tether with Capture One, and then Canon camera, nothing will be recorded to your memory card anyway. If you do with Lightroom, then it will be, then the photos will also be saved on the memory card and the computer. But it's kind of slows down my process. So in terms of saving to memory card and the laptop, so usually I don't have any memory card in my computer when I photograph in the studio or on location. The second is like when you photograph tethered, you see the photo right away on the computer. So this is much better than the screen on the back of your camera. The screen on the back of the camera, as good as they are right now, they're not calibrated, and they actually show the JPEG representation of that photo. So this is already pre-processed. So you don't know really how the raw looks until you transfer it to your computer. And then you can also do some fine-tune of exposure and colors so that you can see what you want to get out of this photo. Like for example, for my headshots, or even if I do portraits, but mainly headshots, I really adjust the photos based on the skin of the person that I photograph. So that and this is I do usually with the first or second photo, so that I know how I want the skin to look like. So when they see all the photos practically straight from the camera, their skin looks awesome already. It's a good tone. It's sharp and nice contrast, right? So that's that's kind of from a technical perspective. Now, if when they come during the session and they view the photos, this is more of confidence boost, and then tuning their expressions. So they can actually, when they see their own photos and they see what works, what doesn't work, when they go back in front of the camera, they feel so much more confident, and they know that the expression that they thought first were kind of crazy, suddenly it's like, okay, that makes sense what this guy is telling me, and it's actually he can talk crap, all this kind of nonsense to me, but it looks pretty good, in this photo. So I'm gonna go with the flow, and actually I'm gonna give him those expressions. And usually after they come to see the photos once or twice, it gets better and better in terms of the facial expression that they can give me. And I'm not talking about models. I'm talking about regular people, professionals that just come for headshots. And believe me, obviously most of us, even photographers, we don't like to be photographed. So when they come in front of the camera at the beginning, they're kind of stiff, kind of give me a strange, smile. And then, at the end, that's kind of like, it's more relaxed. And then they give me the kind of killer expressions. Okay. Plus, imagine if during the session, you were like showing the photos on the back of your camera. I mean, everybody's like, look at the, oh yeah, this looks amazing, right? And but then if they see on the big screen, it's a completely different, kind of engagement, right? Right now, I mean, before we used to get, I used to watch together on the monitor with my clients. Now, because of COVID, I have my laptop more on the side. Then I have this monitor here. This is the main screen where people look at the photo, so we're kind of like 6 feet apart. So, but I have the same screen, so they tell me which photos they like, and this way we can review the photos together. Okay. So my next step is to talk about the gear that we need for tethering. So just want to make sure if there's any questions.
Real quick, I will put those. I'm gonna bring those questions up here.
Mm-hmm.
How do you determine the background color for the headshot while in the studio?
So I should really 1 second. My camera, which one did it go? Something went off on my I think my 5D camera went off again. 1 second. So yeah, that's a good question. So on the background, you can see, I hope you can see, let's see, I think you can see on this camera. Okay, so you can see in the back, over there. So I have the Wasiek X Drop. This is a white background, but if you don't put the light on it, it's becoming gray. So basically, like, the photo that I had in the presentation. So it's becoming kind of medium gray, dark gray. If I put light on it, it's going to be white. So basically, I shoot 2 options, either white or medium gray. The other options, if somebody has some specific color requirements of the background, some companies have those requirements, then I make the change for that session specifically. If they have some really a strange or a different request, then basically I change the background digitally. But I usually only use that backdrop to have white or gray.
Excellent. And do you think that not saving on the camera as well as the computer is a risk? He's thinking about hard drive failure.
I knew this question will come up. So it's basically like me telling that I don't shoot RAW, right? That I shoot only JPEG. You know what? It's not, because I shoot. I mean, the session that I shoot, right? As we transfer this to the computer. We do the selection, and right after the session, I copy those files to my main computer, which then those files get copied to the backup to my NAS, the network attached server, and then also to the cloud. So this is just a small time, period of time where the photos are sitting just on this computer. Which basically, if you go to any session or you photograph a wedding, you have those photos on memory cards, right? So that doesn't really, increase the risk. If I'm on location, like for example for conferences, what I do is I have also an external drive connected to the laptop, and it does kind of live backup of those photos to the to the external drive, and also the JPEGs are automatically uploaded to the cloud, which I'll tell you, at the end about my workflow for high volume. So you'll see those files automatically backed up in multiple places.
Excellent. And then another question came in. Do you use, oops, I guess we'll switch over here to Liz. Liz said there's also software called Smart Shooter that will allow you to capture the images onto your card and computers. There are plenty of options. So yeah, thank you, Liz.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there are many pieces of software that, that allow you to tether. I use Caption One, but, you can use, the Tether Tools tool, and then Lightroom, or there's plenty of other software. So really, there's whatever works for you. The software is just a tool, right? So it's whatever works best for the workflow is worth trying different pieces of software, and then decide what works the best for you.
Absolutely. Another question came in. Do you ever use gels to change the background color?
Yes, I'm glad that you asked. Let me show you. So this is, kind of like, I had earlier this week, last week, on Friday, I had a webinar for Westcott, and actually I did all about the lighting for headshots. And this is the FJ400 for the background light. And you can see I'm using a quarter CTO gel on this. And this is the quarter CTO gel that I use on these flashes mainly to make the white background pure white, because otherwise they'll have a slight blue tint on it.
Excellent. Another question that came up, do you have any marketing tips to market between your two companies, aka converting certain qualified wedding clients into headshot clients?
So, I for all my existing clients, I use the mailing. They get into my client mailing list. So if I have some promotion for headshots, I'll let them know. And also, as they come to my studio to either view the wedding photos or engagement photos, I tell them they also photograph headshots. And I would say, I photograph a good number of people of my wedding clients. I photograph their headshots. So I don't remember what is exact percentage of people that we do weddings that we do their headshots as well. But it's maybe 50%. We do their headshots as well.
Excellent. And then Brandon's joining us, and he says that you are amazing. So.
Oh, hey, Brandon.
Yeah,
the webinar that I was talking about was on Friday about lighting for headshots. And then if you're interested about lighting for headshots, I'm going to be doing another one most likely in September for together with Westcott. So keep an eye, connect with me or connect with Westcott or their mailing list, and then they'll let you know. But today it's not about lighting; it's more about the workflow. So that's why I'm happy to answer those questions. But it's all about the kind of the workflow that I want to make sure that you guys are efficient with. Excellent. That's all the questions for now. Awesome. Cool. Okay, so let's go to the next. Let me just switch to the perfect. Okay, so what gear in general you need to have in order to tether? So first of all, and let me just do the picture talking at least. So obviously you need a camera. I'm using an EOS R here. So this is any new camera that has a USB port will actually support tethering. You will have to have a really old camera for it not to support tethering. So from that perspective, practically all cameras nowadays support tethering. So that should be pretty easy to set up. Obviously, you need a computer. I'm using a Dell. I think this is the XPS 15. It's pretty fast. I have the i9 processor on it, but you don't really have to have a super fast computer. So any laptop or any computer that you currently use, like a workstation, you can move it by your camera, and as long as it has a USB port, a fast USB port, then it'll work. The newest camera, check what standard they have of the USB, because they can have 2.0, 3.0, 3.1, or 3.2. So for example, your camera using a 3.2 USB standard, make sure that you have a port that supports that speed, because otherwise you're just going to be transferring, those files at the speed of the laptop. It's basically like a lowest denominator. Whatever is the slowest part with the connection between your computer and your camera, that's going to be the speed that you transferring those files at. So, that's something to keep in mind. I recommend, if you have, USB 3 in your computer, that's much better. Obviously 3.1 is even better, and 3.2 is, the best right now. 3.2, I think it's like Thunderbolt kind of speed. So that's, what I'm talking about. Now, in terms of software, as we mentioned, you can use so many different software. Tether Tools actually has a link, a page on the website, so /tethering software, where they list all the software that you can use for tethering, right? So if you want to have a full list of every piece of software that's that you can use for tethering, and a kind of description how each software works, well, that's a kind of a page to go to. Okay. Now, from the tethering perspective, there are two methods that you can transfer those files from the computer, from the camera to the computer. You can use either wired, so you can have, let me just move my camera. So you can use the cable connected to the camera, or you can have this, Air Direct from Tether Tools. So basically, this will connect through a cable to your camera, and then you transfer those files wirelessly to your computer. This is, the advantage of using Air Direct, obviously, that you don't have this cable hanging between your computer, between your camera and your computer. So there's less risk of pulling anything. You have a little bit more flexibility moving your camera around. So for portraits, especially for family portraits, when the kids are running around or with dogs, I always use the Air Direct now, because it allows me to not have the cable, and I can move around, especially with kids, or, when you have kids in the studio, it's, the fewer cables you have around, the better, right? Because they'll be tripping over those cables, guaranteed. So Air Direct actually works really good, for anything, with kids, dogs, or even, for headshots if you want to. But, for headshots, I usually use the cable because I don't really move my camera. My camera is on the tripod, and it basically stays this way. Okay, and then accessories. So let me switch to this camera. 1 second. Okay, hopefully you can see good. So accessories. So I use let me get closer here if you can see. Okay, so on let me see if this camera will be better. Okay, maybe this one. So on this camera, on EOS R, I use, to attach the Air Direct, I use L bracket. L bracket is basically like a piece of metal that you attach to the camera, that you can attach the camera to your tripod either this way or this way. So there are basically there's Arca Swiss standards on both sides. I use also, to attach Air Direct on the side here. Okay, and I can put it on top. So if I want to, I can put the Air Direct on top as well. So this way I have both the Air Direct and my trigger on the camera. So from basically it looks something like this. Okay. So this kind of, I know there's a lot of discussion, when Air Direct came up, how to attach it to the camera. I found that, the Air Direct, and this the L bracket, it's actually, works really well. The L bracket that I use is from Pro Media Gear. I believe it's like it's Illinois. I think it's a Chicago Cybers company, but I think it's one of the most solid brackets, and they're fully adjustable. In terms of how you want to adjust, the width or the extension here, the arm, so you can fit the Air Direct trigger and the flash trigger together.
Yeah, and we have all those in stock. We have the Arca Swiss thing from Tether Tools. We have the Air Direct, and we have the L brackets for most cameras here in store.
Fantastic, yeah. So this is the one tool that I use. Then the second one, let me switch cameras again so that you can. So the next one is the table here. So this is the Aero table from Tether Tools, and I also use this kind of foamy, pad on top of it, so it's a little bit softer on the laptop. This is a must, especially whether you're in the studio or on location, you just attach to the light stand or even a tripod, and this works so great. This is the largest size. I think it's the XL or XXL. And what I like about it is it's not about the size of the laptop; it's to have the extra space for the mouse. I hate the touchpad, so when I have the table, that's why I always use the mouse. If you find with just using the touchpad, then the smaller table actually may work pretty good as well. Okay, then let me just move it this way. Here, just be careful with the cables. So this is also a clamp that I use. I hope you can see it. So this is, let me just, a little clamp like this, okay? And this, on top of it, you attach the cable and then you clamp it to the table. So that's, prevents the USB cable from the one that's connected to the laptop to kind of get jerked. So basically I attach it here and then now it's secure. So even if I pull it by mistake, it's not gonna rip the USB port from the laptop. And I have a similar kind of thing attached to the camera, so it protects my USB cable from being ripped from the camera as well. So these are very important accessories, especially for the cable. Those are like top accessories to have, because you don't want to destroy the USB port on your computer, and you definitely don't want to destroy the USB port on your camera, because that's a pretty expensive repair to do. And then what else do I have? Okay, I have, usually when I shoot, I have my coffee. Today I'm using my my Tether Tools cup, so I cannot fit into my cup here. But normally, if I have my mug, I put my coffee here, so this way I don't have my drink, standing next to the computer. Because as I'm sure if many of us had this accidents, when you put the drink next to the computer, sooner or later it's gonna spill. So and you definitely don't want to spill any liquid on your laptop when you photograph, because it's the best way to kill your laptop pretty fast. Let me see if I have any other accessories that I need to talk to. No, I think these are. This is really it. In terms of accessories that I use. Okay. Any questions about those?
Nothing about the accessories.
Fantastic. Let's move on. Okay. Select and buy photos. So as I mentioned, let me just switch this. 1 second.
There we go. Yep.
Here it is. This is number 3. Here it is. Okay, cool. So when we, I don't want to block her face. So when we select and buy the photos, we do it on the computer. And, right now, the way we do our headshot session does not include any photos. So the headshot session fee is just for the session. So when they come, they actually buy every single photo individually, and every photo is purchased. Purchased and edited by us. Okay. They're purchased by them, but they're fully retouched by us. Okay. And then this eliminates any questions. Can you put the gallery on the photos on the gallery? Can I decide later? Now it's like, no, we make the decision today. I'll help you make the decision, and then the photos that you're not going to select, they stay on my laptop maybe for a couple of days, and then they get deleted. So there's no way to go back to them. So that kind of puts them in the mind of, okay, this is the session. This is how I make. I need to make the decision right now. Okay.
So question on that. Have you found that has helped with your close rate as far as like people not wanting to lose those photos, so they'll buy more, or is it to simplify the workflow?
They definitely buy more photos this way. Yeah, definitely buy more photos. When we started in San Diego, we had this kind of 3 tiers. So like 1 look, 1 photo included, 2 looks, 2 or 3 photos included, I remember, and then 3 looks with 4 photos included. And whatever package they bought, they would really stay within the photos that were already included, because there's like, okay, this is already included. Let me just narrow down to whatever it's included. So for those people that did, called the in and out session, so basically they come 1 look, 1 photo included. That's basically what it was. Now with this session, I don't have a time limit. I don't have a wardrobe limit, so they can bring any number of wardrobe or change it as many times as they want, and then they just buy more photos because they are not limited or mentally limited to the number of photos that are already included. So they can decide which photos they love, and those are the photos they get. So I would say for me right now, the range of number of photos that people get is between 5 to 10. That's that kind of the range that people get. Usually the sweet spot I think is around 6. Okay, excellent. But 2 weeks ago I had a woman who bought 80 headshots.
Dang.
So that happens. Of course, this was a fantastic session. I love it, but it's an exception. But you're not going to find too many people that buy 80 headshots of themselves.
Excellent.
Okay. Any other questions? Or can we, CJ, or no?
Question, and you might be getting to this as far as like the marketing side, but where do you think the best places to market are?
So obviously SEO is important. I would say more than half of the traffic from my site comes from SEO or from Google organic searches. And then I also use Google Ads. I use currently Yelp, but I think I'm going to cancel. I used to, Yelp is like a love-hate relationship for me. I hate Yelp because of what they do,
yes,
or how they deal with reviews, and then the whole advertisement. But then in the past, I would have as soon as I wanted to I was thinking of canceling Yelp, I would get a lead for a few $1,000s. And it's okay, that's going to pay, for at least a few months of Yelp. So, why? Let me just keep it, right? But then, Google Ads actually is, it's, very, very good for us. And I'm actually going to be teaching a class at Imaging 2021 about Google Ads for photographers. So if you're interested, sign up, go, join us at Imaging 2021. Hopefully it will happen in person.
Question for you, and we'll be there too. We're excited for it.
Awesome.
Question: have you done anything with LinkedIn as far as their pro finder, or have you had any luck with that?
No, you know what? I tried at the beginning, but from what I saw, the prices are pretty high for the leads. I may look at it again. Does anybody have good experience, with LinkedIn Pro Finder? I'm definitely happy to hear your feedback.
Yeah, I just know that I get a lot of the emails and from when I was doing full time, and I never respond to them. I'm not looking for those leads, but I didn't know if I was hoping that you had some insight on that.
No, from what I heard, it's much more expensive than cost per lead. It's much more expensive than Google Ads.
Excellent.
Because I would say my average cost of acquisition for headshots right now, for a book session from Google Ads is $25 per session. So basically, so it really it's a good value for me, right? If it start to get takes $100 to get one headshot session, well then you pay half of the session fee just to get it. So it starts to be a little bit cost ineffective.
And now you talked a little bit about conferences. How did you get started with getting into conferences? Was that networking? Was that responding to leads somewhere? How did that all come about?
So when we were in San Diego, we actually live across the street from the San Diego Convention Center, and we got some was it on Yelp? I think somebody on Yelp, the first lead came, is hey, we want to do headshots at our booth. Do you guys even offer this? So I'm without thinking, it's heck yeah, I offer this. So I gave her a pretty price competitive price. And then, at this conference, I saw some other company that actually, were doing headshots, but for, they were really set up properly and everything. I'm wow, this is this is actually pretty cool. I need to look more into it. So I spent the next few months kind of researching how to do everything and then start to market. So I do have a separate, I have a separate page on my website just for conferences and trade shows. So actually, if you Google, I hope I'm still, like number one, number two, like nationwide. If you do like Headshots conference or Headshot trade show, we should be either number one or number two on Google searches. So that kind of helps us
number
a lot.
one. Confirm that you're number one. Trade show conference headshot booth. Yep.
Awesome. So, and this is nationwide because obviously you're on the East Coast, so this is. So I don't advertise the conferences at all. Actually, it's basically word of mouth and SEO.
I love it, and I love this page too. It kind of shows the setup, and people can see how it all works.
And actually, I'm going to be talking. I'm going to be talking about this workflow in just a second. So let me, let me go through that. I definitely, because I know a lot of people have questions about that. So let me go to the next one. So sending the photos. So we use the file system WeTransfer. What I like about it is that I don't attach those files to emails, so it doesn't build the size of my Gmail account. There's time sensitive because the link expires and they know it expires, and if they want, so I set it up for like 4 weeks, so they have to download the files within 4 weeks. And when I send them the file, I tell them, listen, this link is valid for 4 weeks. They have 4 weeks to download, so it's plenty of time. If you for some reason procrastinate, there will be a fee. There will be an additional fee for me to send you those files again. So they know straight ahead of time that they have plenty of time, but they need to download it. Otherwise, they're going to have to pay to get those files again. Okay, and then I get a notification when they download those files, so that I know that they got the files from me. Okay. So this was all about individual sessions. Oh, sorry. You know what? I forgot to put. So this was basically the slide on my deck. Okay. So high volume session. So the first question is, what is high volume, right? So because high volume is not necessarily just the number of people that you photograph, because you can photograph 100 people or 200 people, in 5 days. That to me is not high volume, because you photograph 20 people per day. That's not a lot of people, in one day. So for me, high volume is really driven by the number of people you photograph, but per hour. So if you have, or number of minutes that you have per person, okay? For me, if you have less than 10 to 15 minutes per person, that is, to me, considered high volume. Like, the highest pace that I photograph at conferences is 2 minutes per person. So I can photograph up to 30 people per hour. And if you guys saw me at, I did at Imaging, and I also did at Portrait Masters. Portrait Master was last year, and then Imaging was this year. That I can actually photograph pretty fast, people with, actually that lady here, that's from Imaging. And I photograph her maybe for 5 minutes, max. So as you know how much time you're going to have per person, that will determine whether, what kind of lighting setup you want, and then also your overall workflow that you're going to do, for transferring all the photos. Okay. So that's actually very important. So normally, in our studio, we photograph with the Cineflex from Wasiek, which is here behind me. So actually, if you okay, so this is my my set here. Here it is. Yeah, so this is the Cineflex that we use for studio with the FJ400s in the back. So this is our individual session setup. If we go on the more on location with higher volume, we usually use two octas from Westcott, and then the highlighter reflector in the bottom. So this kind of lighting setup allows me to have more margin of error, for different size, different heights, and also the kind of movement. Because if I have less time, I have a lot less time to tweak the lights. With Cineflex, I need to tweak those lights very precisely to get really the effect that I want. With two softboxes like that, I still have a pretty decent lighting. It's not as magical and kind of sweet as the one with Cineflex, but it's still good quality. And this way, I don't have to adjust the light for every single person. Okay, so that's very important. And I always actually, this is my next one. So I always use the cable tethering, and then you can see that here I use the tether block below my lens to hold the cable, yeah, that's basically how it's set up. And I have a screen with some live headshots popping up as I photograph. Okay, so let me go to my next slide, because this is the kind of the big thing. So how I do it. Okay, so which one to do? The Sony went up. 1 second, my camera, I don't know why it went off. Did it overheat? Let's see.
While he's doing that, guys, if you do have any questions, please put them in the chat, whether you're on YouTube, Twitch, our website. You'll see a section for comments. So go ahead and put those in there so we can get those answered for you.
Okay. Yeah, so it seems like my Sony is back camera, so you can see me. Okay, so this is my flow for higher volume, or like, either, business meetings, conferences, etc., right? So the first thing is I actually photograph with 5D Mark IV camera versus my EOS R. The main reason is that for some reason in EOS R, you cannot shoot in a lower size RAW file. But the 5D allows you to shoot in, full RAW, I think medium RAW, and small RAW. So when I go, when I do high volume, I don't shoot at full RAW. There's really no point for me to shoot in full RAW, because those are those are files that go for the web usage anyway. So I use either medium RAW or small RAW, and that actually accelerates the transfer of files from the camera to the computer, because obviously the files are much smaller, so that the transfer is much faster as well. So that's kind of the one thing that that is different from my studio setup in terms of the workflow. Then I use Capture One, and I use the software called Simple Photo Share. So that's when I export the photos from Capture One into like a hot folder, and then Simple Photo Share grabs those photos, uploads them to the cloud, and it creates like an online gallery of the photos that I just photographed. So what I mentioned before, that when I do high volume photos, and then those photos, I don't put anything on my memory card, you can see that as I transfer those photos to my computer, those get copied automatically to to my small external drive, and then they're going to get automatically uploaded to the cloud through Simple Photo Share. So I'm going to have three copies of that photo already without using a memory card yet. So even at the high volume, not using a memory card, I'm still safe in terms of the copies of the photos of the backups. Okay. And then let me just remove so I bring my own router to the places, and that router is connected to internet. So I have like a AT&T hotspot modem that I use to have internet connection. You can use the conference or the business's wireless connection. I like to bring my own internet connection, because this way I don't rely on other people's internet connection. And then, especially like in some convention centers, the internet can be so slow, and I rely on uploading photos, so the upload speed is important to me. So that's why I prefer to have my own internet. Okay, so that gets uploaded to the cloud, to the simple photo share, and then I have a couple of touchpad, tablets and Microsoft Surfaces computers, that touch screen, where I display the gallery of photos. So as each person gets photographed, they go to that stations and they see those photos already live on this on those tablets, and they can send those photos to themselves right away. Okay, so that's very important, because they get photographed, and by the time they get to the workstation, those photos are already there. So they can get those the photos to themselves, and then I also remarket them later on, offering them a full retouch of those headshots that I took during the conference. So that's basically I would say around 10% of people that I photograph at conferences order retouches. So if I photograph 500 people, that's 50 people at $50 per photo. So that's about $2,500 that extra that I get from it. Okay.
Love it.
Any questions about that workflow?
So not the workflow. That is super clean. And I actually just put the link to the simple photo share in the web chat. So thank you for that. I actually bookmarked that myself because I could see that solving a lot of problems for me for some on-site stuff. So Peter, there was a question that came in regarding lighting. So Peter had 3 Westcott lights at WPPI. Do you use just one or more? He's watching on his phone and he only sees one.
So for headshots, in the studio, I use, for white background, I use 5 lights. So I use 3 Cineflex. Let me just switch to my camera. Here it is. And okay, so I use 3 lights here. These are my main lights, for the person, and then I have 2 lights for the background. So basically all 5. So this is in studio. On location, for high volume, I only use 2 lights. The reason is the fewer lights you have, the fewer misfires you're gonna have. It doesn't matter how good the signal is, especially at big convention centers. There's so much noise that even if you find a good channel, there will be always some misfires. And the more lights you have, the higher the percent or the chance is that one of them will not fire properly. So if I have 2, with either FJ 400s or sometimes I use the Profotos D2s, I have about 1% of misfires on my photos. So basically 1 out of 100 photos will not fire, or one of them will not fire. So
excellent. And you did lose your Sony too, just so you know.
Yeah, I think it overheats sometimes because I'm using the 7R3.
Yep.
And I think it overheats. Let me switch to my 5D. Yeah, here it is. It's back. Sweet. Perfect. Okay. So that's basically how I do in terms of lights. The Cineflex, you can use the 3 lights. You can use strobes as well. You can have 3 FJ400s with strip boxes, and you're gonna have a very similar effect.
Excellent. No other questions are coming in.
Awesome. So that was my last slide. So again, if you guys want touch with me, so my website is either Wasiek Photography. Oops, sorry, So it's either wasiekphotography.com or Wasiek Faces. The Facebook, Twitter. I need to remove my Twitter. I never use it. And then Instagram, and then I have also a YouTube channel under Yaneck Wasiek. So if you're interested in subscribe, I post some stuff from time to time there, hopefully educational and something new. So it'll be awesome if you can support my YouTube channel as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And I did get a note from Liz that we are offering special discounts for the folks who joined our live stream today. So it looks like we're getting 20% off of getting started with tethering, as well as 20% off the Pro tethering kit and monitor mounts. So if you want to put your if you want to mount your monitor like he had shown, in his presentation, we have those available, as well as the kind of getting started kits. So if you need any of that, if you need any tether tools, we have a ton of stuff here at the store. Please feel free to reach out to us, whether that's through live chat, whether that's through email. We'll be more than happy to get that taken care of for you.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Yeah, one more thing, if you're not sure what cable to get for your camera, let me go back. Here it is. So here's the the address. So on the tethertools.com, this is the address. So plugging in and USB compatibility. This will basically, you will enter your camera model and then what kind of port you have on your laptop or computer, and then it will tell you exactly which cable you need. So this kind of like solves the problem. Or I don't know what cable is needed for my camera.
Excellent. And we did have I did want to address a comment that came in, or a question that Jim Summers asked. Do you get the leads through LinkedIn? And yes, if you got here a little bit late, but we did cover that. So not right now, but something he might look at in the future. It was a higher cost per acquisition, so that's why he didn't really pursue that very much.
Especially now, this is, nowadays, it's tougher to kind of try new marketing, paid marketing channels because, obviously the behavior, people's behavior is a little bit different right now. So I'm using the one that I used before, but, it's eventually, when things kind of, come back, to more, normal, 1 second, somebody's calling.
It's another lead coming in. Another session. There you go.
So when things come back a little bit more to normal, then I may look into LinkedIn again. But right now it's just not the right time to try, in my opinion, a new paid advertisement.
Sure. Absolutely. And then Mike Giuliano, reach out to me directly on that starter kit because we sometimes we like to reserve stuff just for in-store customers. So if you don't see something on the website, just reach directly out to us. I'm more than happy. So Yaneck, thank you so much. And thank you, Tether Tools, for providing this opportunity. We had a record number of customers that joined us. So thank you guys for doing that. Again, a question actually just came in. I'm not gonna end here. Can you describe the camera to computer time per image, RAW, medium RAW, small RAW over air direct, and the USB cable? So in your testing, about how many seconds?
Yeah. So when I do cable, I get the photos like within 2 seconds. When I use air direct, it's between 5 to 8 seconds. So obviously, the 5 to 8 seconds, and if you shoot faster, it's gonna buffer those files to be transferred. So that it's gonna come, eventually they're gonna come back. So if you do 20 shots in a row, in that 20th photo, it may be more than this, 5 to 8 seconds, obviously, because it has to transfer the previous files. But the individual files is between 5 to 8 seconds.
Excellent, great question. Sneaking it in there right at the end, right at the finish line. So Yaneck, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you everybody out there in listener land, if you will. If you need absolutely anything from us, please feel free to reach out. We're more than happy to help you with any questions or anything like that. And again, we do have some special discounts on Tether Tools. Just reach out to us and we'll get that taken care of. I hope everybody has a great week. And thank you very much, Yaneck.
Thank you so much.
See ya.